Parental alienation. It's a silent epidemic, tearing families apart here in the UK. But what exactly is it? Who does it affect? And how big of a problem is it? This interview is the first in a series where I will be shedding light on the subject of parental alienations and forced adoptions here in the UK. We'll be hearing from victims of these devastating experiences and from those who are working tirelessly to bring about change. Welcome to Being His Creation. My name's Emma, and this is my little part of the internet where I like to share about my journey from being broken to blessed and everything in between. If you hadn't heard of parental alienation before, then sit back and enjoy this interview, because the chances are that you maybe or you know somebody else who is going through this. So, Ros, thank you for being here and being my first interviewee.
Thank you.
Like I said before, I've really had this on my mind to give this space to people that are going through what we're going to talk about. So I'm really grateful to you for coming on and giving your side of things. So you run a charity called Match Mothers. Do you found that charity? Were you the founder?
No, the charity began in 1979 by a lady called Peggy England, her name was. Oh. She worked for the stock exchange and she was very wealthy. She had a very good status in the stock exchange in London. So she worked and her husband stayed at home and looked after her two boys. Her two boys were about 6 and 7 years old. And she, as I say, that was how it worked. And then she went home and he was the house husband and everything worked fine. Then one day, her husband rang her up and said, I think it's about time he was American, so I didn't say he was American, living in the UK. He said, I'd like to take the boys back to see my mum and dad. So she said, oh, that's a good idea. No worries. I'll see you when you come back. Only thing was, they never came back.
Oh.
He took them to America originally to see his mum and dad, and then he took them to somewhere in America. She hasn't got a clue. She's never seen them since. But when it happened, she thought this is disastrous. She was obviously in London in all the society. And so she got in touch with the Guardian newspaper. She printed a letter in the newspaper, and she actually stated what happened to her and wondered if anybody else, if any other mothers in the country were alienated from their children because of different reasons. And 100 mums wrote back to that letter in the Guardian. And so she started the charity, and that was on the 22nd of February, 1979. So in those days, obviously there wasn't the internet as such then. And so everything was done by hand. She had 4 mothers with her who decided to help her run this charity. And they just basically did everything for handwriting. They handwrote letters, they sent out letters to the mums, all by post. And I joined them in the year 2000.
Okay.
When my ex-husband decided to take my children away from me. And I just found them on the internet, the Match Mothers charity. And I got in touch and I became one of those people getting with handwritten letters, and it was very sweet, but they were brilliant. It was so well organized. That went on till 2006 when they decided to make it a proper charity with the Charity Commission, and then there's more technology then, so they managed to do things a bit easier. And that was when I was obviously involved then, but I wasn't involved in the running of it. And then in 2014, I gave up my job, and because my job changed, and I was a teacher, and they gave me different roles in the school other than teaching. And the whole point of being a teacher was to be able to teach children, and I wasn't doing that at all because they wanted me to do other stuff around. So I gave the job up. And then Match Mothers needed someone to come on the committee, so I joined them. And then it's just carried on from there. It's just a roller coaster because I've just carried on taking on different options. But it's really good. I've got a really nice job now. I'm the treasurer now in the charity. Still work on the phone lines. I'm still very much involved in the running of it, so it's good.
That's amazing. Okay. I think it was you that I spoke to back in 2019 or maybe 2020.
Okay.
That's how I found out about Match Mothers, because I realized that the reason I was separate from my daughter was actually because I wasn't very well. So this is, I can look at myself and see that, but at the time I was very vulnerable, I was very broken, and I was desperate, felt like I was losing her. That's how I found Match Mothers, and I do believe I spoke to you, and you just had a charity, and you gave me a membership on the site and everything, and I've kind of always, even though my experience recovered very quickly, and I have a very close relationship with my daughter now.
Lovely.
Thank you. You were there when I needed. I felt so alone, and when I saw other mothers in the Facebook group going through far worse, out of control, it really, really touched me, really hit home. So I guess the first question would be then, if you wouldn't mind, can you share a little bit about your personal journey that
Mhm.
led you, side of things? Yeah, go into that a little bit, please, if you
Right,
don't
okay.
mind.
Yeah, so I was married with three children at home I lived in Winchester. My husband worked in the city. So he used to travel from Winchester to the city every day, so a hell of a journey and drive back. So he was gone from sort of 6 in the morning till 6 or 7 in the evening. And I myself have got multiple sclerosis, which is very manageable and I'm okay with it, but I needed some help around the house. And my husband had a good job, so he paid for us to have a nanny. And the nanny I employed myself, so it's my fault that she was involved in our family. And she was very good with the children. And I had her from when the children were from the age of 1, 2, and 3 years old. So very tiny children. But she was great with them. She helped me. We had some great fun times. She was good fun to be with. She was everything you could imagine you wanted from a nanny. And then she went before my husband came home. She'd already left. And so he never saw her, but that was fine. And then the summer came, I think it was the summer, and he started to come home earlier from work and sort of spend a lot of time with her when he came back. And obviously there was something going on. I thought there was something going on, but I didn't have any proof or anything. Then my husband came home from work and I've got a cousin in Australia. And he came home with two tickets, or not two, with a ticket for me to fly to Australia to see my cousin out of the blue to go the following week. I said, but what about the children? He said, oh, Lindsay can look after them. It'll be fine. She'll be fine. I thought, okay, I'll take this opportunity. I'll go to Australia. Lots of money, you can afford it. So I went to Australia. On the fifth day I was out there, he rang up because we had my cousin's phone number. He rang us in Australia and he said, I don't want you to come home. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, Lindsay and I have got a great time with the children and we don't need you here, so just don't come home. So obviously I was shocked. I rang British Airways in England. I think the office it was in the evening, so the office in Australia had closed. So I rang the English office. They got me on the next flight, which was the next flight home the next day. I flew home and then it all started. I just had to, then the fight started. And he was horrible to me, wouldn't let me back in the house. He still let me see the children, but that was it. And then he took them away and Lindsay took them away and did things and I didn't really see them. And then the court battle started and I had 4 years in court battling for my children. And in the end, unfortunately, the judge, I say unfortunately, it was good in some ways because the children were staying with their dad and he had lots of money, so he could pay. They went to the best schools, they had the best education ever, and the judge insisted that I've always had access to the children. So I saw the children every other weekend and one night in the week, every single week. That went on for the 4 years, and the weekends were great. We had some great times, so I managed to keep in touch with my children. But my husband then alienated me against my eldest, and he stopped my eldest coming to all the times we were supposed to see. I was supposed to see all three, I only saw two, and then it carried on. But it wasn't called parental alienation at that time. There's no name for it, which there is now.
It's just a thing
That was
happening.
Yeah, exactly. That was 2004 that it all started. So that's when our court time finished, and we had to get on with our lives basically. Eventually, at the age when our son was, oh gosh, 16, my son rang me up and I was so shocked. I hadn't seen him for 10 years, as my husband had kept him away that long. And he rang up and he said, I want to see you, Mum. He said, can we do it secretly? Because I don't want Dad to know. So we met up secretly for about a year. We kept seeing each other secretly. And then his dad found out, and his dad did absolutely nothing. He was so scared his dad was going to do something really hurtful to him. He did absolutely nothing. So, and it's been carried on since then. So it's a different, but the separation, it was match mothers that got me through it. They got me to stand on my own 2 feet, to be strong. I did a degree in child psychology so I could find out what my children were going through, basically, which was good. It did help me. It did help me, and I got myself a job through it. So it was really good. And looking back, my children I still have problems with my daughter, but that's hopefully going to be resolved this year. We have agreed to meet up this year to sort things out. So hopefully it'll be all right. So
Oh,
that's my story.
I can. It's so good that you through as far as you've gone, and you can
Yeah.
see silver linings now.
Yes,
But
I can.
it
Yeah.
must have been that 4 years in court must have been exhausting.
It was, yeah, that's what it was. And I mean, I knew all the court people who worked there, I knew all their names, they knew me. It was like, well, hello again, It was just ridiculous. Yeah, but I had the same judge all the way through, which you can insist on. Don't That's not rarity, that is quite something you can actually arrange. So, I just found out so much to be able to pass on to all these mums that are going through, just everyone has to go through the courts, it seems.
What was it like that 10 years until life? Did
It
you
was
just
it was
throw yourself
horrible.
into?
Yeah, I drew myself into the degree got the degree, and then I was able to, when I got the degree, I got in touch with, there was only one child psychologist. I'm in Dorset, and there was only one child psychologist in Dorset, this lady called Jane, and she was lovely. And I went to see her, and I told her I'd just done the degree, and she just wanted to chat. And she had other meetings that day. We chatted, and she said at the end of the day, she said, I think you should go and get a job. So go to this school, tell them what you've just told me, and they'll give you a job. And I went to the school, saw the headmaster. It was a special needs school, and I saw the headmaster, and he gave me the job there and then on the spot.
Wow,
So I worked at the school for 7 years.
that's amazing. So
Brilliant.
you've done the degree and then you've got the job, and so I guess that kind of, I suppose, helped take your mind off things
Yeah,
when
it
you were
did. I mean,
helpless and powerless.
yes, very much so. I'd cry nearly every night. I'd be cry myself to sleep because it was just horrendous. But during the day, I had things to keep me going. So I got through. But I was seeing my other two children. So I was only my eldest son I wasn't seeing. So the other two children, I used to arrange really weekends and that one night a week. So it was quite hard to arrange things, but we managed to get into a bit of a pattern and make it a regular thing, and they enjoyed it. Yeah, they did.
Why do you think he alienated your son from you? Do you think?
I think he thought he was being clever. I mean, the thing was, I mean, he had a top job. He was a clever guy. He was earning mega money. He was working for KPMG and had a big job and you know, a clever guy. But he wasn't very clever with simple things. I mean, it's very similar to his brother. His brother was a clever, really super clever. He was one of these geniuses, but he couldn't make a cup of tea. And that sounds silly, but and my ex was similar in that he could do these amazing things with figures and sort out the world's financial problems, but he couldn't sit down and have a chat about simple things.
Mm,
So I had to try and be on his level, and it was like quite hard.
yeah, I can
And he'd
imagine.
say, "You don't want to hear about my work." I said, "Well, yeah, I've nothing to talk about because you're not talking to me about normal things. Talk about your work then." Yeah. And then he would tell me about his work and what he'd done that day, and it was amazing what he was doing.
To see you smiling, I know it's like been a long time, but
Yeah, it
that's
has.
a beacon of hope. To mothers
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
just in the thick of the start of that really painful. Because I
it
know I'm going
is.
off the questions a bit, but I do remember when I was basically my daughter had actually chosen not to see me for a while, but I felt like I felt in my broken mind at the time that her dad was turning her against me, and that pain, it felt like a piece of me had been ripped, my heart, or my heart had been
Yeah,
ripped out of me, and it was the crying, like fetal position, wailing.
yeah.
And I'm fortunate that that was a temporary thing. Talking now about yourself and other mothers, that this is
Mm.
a long, lifelong
Long
process.
process. It's
You've
just
got,
we have one thing I really want to stress with mums is you're stronger than you think, and they are trying to knock you down. These men are trying to knock us down, and they use the children to do it. So you've got to be a super strong person and show them that they're doing all these things, and just try to. I mean, I want to do is break, like you say, break down and cry, but try. That's okay. You can call me what you like. It's okay, and just be really strong,
mm,
and yeah,
I
that
think,
makes all the difference.
and I'd like to say as well, to encourage mums,
Mm,
is focus on being the best version of you, so that when the
mm.
kids come back into your life,
That's right. Yeah.
nothing, the picture they've painted.
Oh, the opposite.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure you've done as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I remember when my son rang me that very first time when he was 16, I came off the phone from him. I thought, I didn't say half of what I wanted to say. I had imagined all this fantastic, meeting up. And when we met up the very first time, again, it was a disastrous day. It was like it stopped raining. It was really throwing it down. And I was wet and I was bedraggled. I was like, it's an absolute mess. And he looked at me and I imagined we were going to give each other a big hug. And we said, should we get in the taxi, Mum? I said, yeah, let's get in the taxi. And it all went wrong, but it was okay in the end. But it never works out like you think it will. But yeah, keeping you strong and to your best of your ability
Mm.
is really good because it comes across to them. Yeah.
Do you have a good relationship with him now? How old is he now?
Yeah, great. He's 28
Wow.
and he's actually just only last week announced he's going to get married, and they've picked a wedding day. It's February next year they're going to have the wedding. So, and actually I spoke to him yesterday all about it. He told me all about the wedding. So
Wow,
it's all
that's
good.
amazing.
Yeah,
That is
it's
wonderful.
good. Yeah.
So, the next question is, what are some of the key milestones that the charity has achieved?
Obviously charity was a big thing, and that is helped us in so many good ways. I mean, waiting now to hear about an application for some money that I put into the lottery. The lottery love us. They really do love. They've said that to us.
Oh, wow.
It's to us, to me. They've said, 'cause I'm the one who does the applications. See, because we're the only people that do this in the whole of the country, in actually the whole of the world.
Wow.
We have mums from America and Australia because there's nothing like us in there. They're similar things, but they're nowhere near as good as us. So they come over to us for help and to get our newsletters.
So have you thought about branching out over in
Well,
places?
no, I like to stay in the UK.
Yeah,
Just based in the UK and then come to us. I know Canada contacted us and said, could you set up a Match Mothers in Canada? And I talked to the committee. There's a committee of 5 of us. And it was just too difficult. Couldn't extend the charity status. The charity is for the UK only.
right.
So we could be a charity commission over there. They'd have to start it all up again. It just got too complicated. So again, they still come to us for help, but we can't actually set it up in those countries.
Okay. What are the primary goals and objectives of the charity?
Right. I'm going to send you a constitution, which is like the Charity Commission's sort of our rules of being what we are and what we do, our aims. And our aim is to basically look after mothers that are separated from their children so that they don't fall down, mentally help them as well with their mental health as well as their physical health. So that is our main aim. And however we do it. So that's our aim.
And that's obviously what the match part means, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mother,
mothers apart from their children. Yeah, exactly. But
yeah,
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, yeah, look after mums and obviously the main aim is to get them back with their children. And I've got to say that I'd say not all. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 mums that are still not with their children. Out of the whole of the three, we've got 300 people with us at any one time. It's like a rolling stock. Some stay with us forever. Some stay for just a year and then they go away. But there's some stay forever, and so it's like a rolling. It's always around 300 mums at any one time. So
wow.
in the UK, that is UK based. Although obviously we have got the American and the Australian ones as well.
And you've managed, and there's just 3 that haven't been reunited with their children.
Yeah, that's all there is that haven't. I
Amazing.
know. And they are lovely, lovely people as well. It's just so sad because you can't understand. Really, you try and help them, and it just their children are just so stubborn. They are not going to get back with their mums. That's it. For some reason, you don't know the reasons why.
Yeah. So you describe the range of services and support, well, I think you have done mostly, that the charity provides to individuals and families affected. So
Right. So the big thing with the technology is the Facebook page. Obviously, we didn't have Facebook when I joined, but that is fantastic. The Facebook, because you can actually see that there are mums like you in the world, and it's nice to have contact. Then we do the buddy scheme where you can actually meet up with people in your area, actually face to face with other mums. That's really good. We send out a newsletter every month, which keeps you updated on what's going on in the courts and things like that, and news stories from other mums, and basically just really what we're up to as members of the committee, what we do. So that's really good. But we're really here, and the phone, of course, the phone now, we've got the phone line, which is free, and it's really useful. As the people that ring us up on those are people that are at the bottom of their sort of at the lowest ebb of life, that's the only way out. And they contact us, and at the end of the phone call, they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm back now." It's just
oh,
lovely.
you just need someone that can understand them.
Yeah, that's right. And so actually, that's something that because a lot of men really find it hard to cope when they're separated from their children. And they are doing, there's a lot of, I mean, the suicide last week, there was a suicide, I've just heard today, there was a suicide last night from a man that was in the men's, because the men's charity is Family Needs Fathers, which has changed its name to Both Parents Matter. So that's the men's organisation. But there's no one to talk to these men. And I know men don't talk, do they? As women, we chat forever,
Yeah.
but men don't. So that's their problem. But they should have a phone line to ring up. They really should. It's so sad.
They don't have one. Do you get men
No.
calling?
No, never.
You don't.
Never had a man call. No.
Because I think that's an important side of things where we're talking about the mothers being separated, which is an incredible, between mother and child
Yeah,
is
so strong.
yeah. But there are women that do it to the men as well, that use the
Mm.
children to manipulate and punish the
Exactly.
men.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, definitely.
So are some of the most common issues or challenges faced by those who seek help from the charity of what their
The
needs are?
reasons are the reasons
Yeah,
why they
reasons, needs.
right. The reasons you're right. That I'd say it's 95% of the mums that are with us because of parental alienation. I'd say 95, even as far as 99% sometimes. It always that is the situation. Social services are a big problem, a big pain in the backside. Basically, I don't know why they do it, why they act like they do. I mean, to a mum this morning, and she had her baby. She's already had 2 of her children taken away from her. She's now with a new man, lovely situation. Just had a baby, and the baby at birth was taken away from her in hospital. She thought that was going to happen. I said, no, it won't happen. It won't happen. Well, she rang me this morning and said, it did. It bloody happened. That was last week. Her baby was taken away. So she's now got to go through court to try and get her baby back. And social services want to give the baby to foster family. Now that costs money. That's £400 a week that costs the big country.
I know.
And yeah, Yeah, it's really annoying. And she's got a perfect good situation. The baby can come home, live with them, and then once her ideal was to bring the baby up, show the baby to her two children. She still sees them, but they are in foster care. The other two children, show them their brother or sister. Sister is a little girl, and then eventually get all three of them back together again as a family. And the social services is going to take her away and give her to a foster family.
And sever that bond is, having
Yeah.
that time to have that initial bond.
It's so important for babies.
Yeah, it staggered me when I was involved in something last year, helping somebody.
Yeah.
It staggered me when I found out that foster parents get like £400 a week per
And a week.
child,
I know. I
per
know.
child. And
Yeah.
from the research that I did, that's not always a positive thing.
No.
People that do it for the money and ulterior
Yeah.
motives,
That's
which
right.
is alarming. And it
Yeah, you're
alarms
right.
me that social services aren't aware of that.
No, and then I mean, his image of being this perfectly lovely family life in England, but they don't encourage a family life. If the social services come and take the baby away as soon as they can, that is not helping the child or the mother.
I
They
know.
can't see that. Then they say they've got mental health problems to the mother. Of course they have. You've just taken their baby away, for goodness sake. Easy thing to resolve, really, and they don't do it. So.
The case with my friend was she didn't know that she had rights. She was told that she couldn't get legal aid. And then when she asked me for help,
Yeah.
this was to oppose the adoption, permission to oppose.
Okay.
She was going to go into court that day to basically have it all finalized. And she went in that day a girl, and came out a woman, because she spoke up for herself, spoke her
Fantastic.
rights, and got it adjourned so that she could seek legal representation, which was
Fantastic.
just amazing.
Yeah.
She got the legal representation, but it was very hard, and we'll come back on that in a minute if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
So I got to have it understanding her legal rights, and we
Oh
were
yeah.
using AI to understand the legal system, because it's just not, if you haven't got legal representation, it's a minefield. She did,
It is.
after contacting about 50 solicitors outside of where she lives, outside of the locality,
Yeah.
she seemed to get to a point where they would take her details down and everything, and then they would come back to her and say, sorry, we can't do this one. The solicitor for the local authority has won prestigious awards. Don't know if that's anything to do with it, but eventually she ended up going back to a solicitor that had represented her with her baby that she's been allowed to keep.
Right. Okay.
And we discovered that she was entitled to legal aid, and this solicitor was the one that had told her that she wasn't. And the legal aid is not means tested, and it's not merits tested either. It says on the government website that anybody that is dealing with forced adoption, or however they word it, is entitled to legal aid, non-means, non-merits tested. So then we had to get the case adjourned again, because it had taken her that long to get to that point. And then that very same solicitor dragged it out for well over a week, getting documents and things like that from her, which I still need to research, because I don't think all that was necessary if it's not means or merits tested. Why would she need to prove all her income and things like that if it isn't means tested?
If it's not means tested. Yeah. Why would you need to know that? Yeah.
Exactly. So
that's just a fact.
Yeah. She is actually going to tell her story as well. So we'll move on from that one.
Good.
That's coming.
Good.
But that's another thing, is like using AI to stand the legal process. I'm actually training an AI model. I'm feeding it all local authorities, social services policies. I'm trying to all the family law and feeding it that, and so that
that's fine. I mean, AI is fantastic for that. I agree.
It is.
It's helped me no end. It really has.
Producing the legal documents and everything,
Yeah, I know. It's fantastic, isn't it?
It is. It is. Even to a degree, we got her a new statement written, but it had lots of legal jargon in it, and we thought about it, and that's not how she would present herself. And if she was to go into court and self-represent, that would be awkward.
They'd pick up on that, wouldn't they? They'd start questioning her, and she wouldn't have the backup for doing it, because the AI had done it.
That's right. So we got it to rewrite it without the legal jargon, just as a
somebody
not educated in law, and it was brilliant. It was so good.
Oh wow, that's a good idea, actually.
She didn't get the kids back, even though we went to Court of Appeal. That was exhausting. That almost broke the both of us.
Yeah, I bet. I can imagine that.
So hard to understand, even with AI, really challenging.
So how does
was
the charity collaborate with other organisations and professionals in the field?
right. So yeah, there was a gap. There was nothing of that going on at all. We were all just looking after the mums, but it helps to look after the mums if you do some work for them with the organisations. So I got the very first time, right? So I joined these other two people that were in different charity organisations. I don't know where they came from actually. They said, we've got a meeting with the top CAFCAS lady. Would you like to join us? So I said, yeah, I'll join. It was a brilliant meeting, very, very scary going up to London and in the big boardroom in front of her. But I was the first one she asked to speak, really. So I said something about, the big thing at the time was our mums, when they go into court, sometimes the situation is so upsetting that they're crying in court. And when that happens, if there's a CAFCAS lady or man there, they use straight away write down she's mentally unstable because she was crying.
I've heard that. I've had people
Quite,
tell me that, yeah.
yeah. So I brought that up with this top lady and I said to her, can you see that what's happening is absolutely really just crushing them? Basically, you would cry, you knowing that your child was going to be possibly going away, you're going to cry. And your staff, as the CAFCAS officers, were saying that, making out that they're mentally unstable, and that is wrong. She agreed with me totally, and she said, "I promise that in all our training sessions, that will be the first thing that I bring up with every single member of our staff, so they never do that again." Okay, so I came out of the meeting thinking, "Yes, I've done something fantastic." And she never brought it in at all. She never brought it into their training ever. So after promising me she would make sure it was the first thing that came up, she never did.
And it's
But we've
still
just
a
got to keep
problem.
fighting.
It's still a problem now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because as soon as the mothers break down in tears, they say, "Oh, she's too weak, she's unstable, she's mentally ill," and all this stuff, and it just goes worse and worse.
It's unbelievable the persecution that they get for being a mum and having that
Being a
emotion.
mum. Yeah, I know. Showing that they actually do care for their children. No, you can't care for your children. You've got to say, you've got to look like you don't care about them.
You've got to
It's
stand there with
stupid.
no emotion, and
No emotions at all. No, that's right.
it's a system I feel that's designed is against them, really.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And it does need to change. It really does need to change.
Yeah, it does. We are slowly making these changes, I assure you. So I still go, because of that, I then went on to become a member of one of their boards, and I'm on the improvement board. The improvement board basically looks at what's going wrong with and you try and change it. It's bloody hard work to try and change anything that they've got set in stone, if they
Wow.
have, but we're doing it. And my latest thing, I've got a meeting at the end of March to follow on from my last meeting, because I brought up the fact that the mothers don't know what to bring as their evidence for things going wrong. Like things go wrong, like the father accuses them of these things that are wrong, and the father does this, and father does something, but you can never prove that because the courts always say, "Oh, we don't want any more of your evidence brought up," and it's so they get all this evidence, tape recordings and stuff, and they're never allowed to bring it into the courtroom. So I brought that up, and the lady who's not top lady, the lady second in charge, took it away. They wrote something down, which I assume was like what I'd said. I said, next meeting, I'll have sorted out what is the official evidence that you can bring to court. So I shall see on the 28th of March, our next meeting is, what they actually agreed to have as the evidence, and then I will put it into the newsletter and let mums know. So that's one thing. But we work with the NSPC. The good thing that we are recommended, and many of our mums come from the NSPCC, where the mums ring up and say, "I'm worried about my child because he's with the father and he doesn't know," things like that. So then the NSPCC tell them to ring us straight away. We're also at NACCC, which is the National Association of Child Contact Centres. We are best friends with them, and they give us help. So all the child contact centres swear that they will promote us to the mums that turn up to see children, and it's really good. So that's really nice. We're also in the Ministry of Justice. We work with them, and that's about the courts. And make sure the courts are being kind to mothers. So that's quite a good thing we've done, and it's working as well.
It is, yeah.
And it's really they're supposed to. And also there's lots of you can now. I mean, I know the forms you have to fill in. Have you been to court yourself?
But not myself, no.
You've helped someone that
yeah.
did it. Right, and there's lots of forms. There's a C100 you have to fill in all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they're now doing it all online, and it's really easy to do. So they're going through that process at the moment. It's not actually up and all okay yet, but it's all going to be online. It'll be so much easier to do. So
That's brilliant.
I'm working with them on that, which is good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Positive.
So,
All in the right
yeah.
direction.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to make lives easier for our mums. If we can, we will do our best. Yeah. That's our idea.
Brilliant.
That's good.
What are some of the biggest obstacles that you find to raising awareness about parental alienation and securing adequate resources for support services?
The money, obviously, are only, well, no, we do get the odd trusts and grants from other people, but they're like for like a smaller amount of money. Lottery is our big supplier, so money is the big thing. I mean, I try to get big grants from the lottery, and they just come back and say, and they bless their hearts, they just come back and say, I went for a £50,000 grant and explained and put through all that. I went through, you know, the children in need, people on telly.
Yeah.
That one. I tried there as well. But they just turned us down and said, just aim for the small grants. You're better off doing that. Yeah, but I thought I'd save you money and go for just one big grant and leave you alone for a bit. But they want me to keep doing the £10,000 one. So I'll just keep doing that. So money's obviously a problem. And obviously it's a big stigma. Women have this stigma. Children should be with their mothers. That is a big stigma in the UK. And yet when they're not, we get looked on, oh, wonder what she did. Oh, there's something going on there. And it's not our fault. And it's hard to prove, very hard.
When you've got emotions and things like that flying as well, and it's problematic, it's confusing. I felt that there was no support for my friends, you know, like the money that they're investing in foster families.
Yeah, I know. That is where it's so wrong.
And even for when it comes to forced adoptions, you know, the training that the potential adopters receive, you know, with therapeutic parenting and all these trauma, how to deal with trauma, that the social services have. Not always, you know, I've got to give them credit where credit's due. There are children that are safer.
Yes, of course there is.
For their parents, but we're talking about the ones that are taken when there were other options. And that money could be redirected to help giving that training to the families.
These families that need it. They do in Dorset. I've got to say Dorset are very good because they've actually got houses here. They've got villages of houses for mums of whole families to move to when they're in an area that's really bad and they need to really get out of that area because it's so rough and ready and horrible. So they actually take these families, take them out, put them in this lovely houses in this village. It's a lovely place, and they support them and they get the support. They get people to go around and help them do things and take the children out for days so the mum and dad can have a break.
That's wonderful.
It's fantastic. It really is. It's a really good service. So yeah, the families need help. Stop taking their children away. Just give them more help.
That's it. I agree. I wonder how that could be, you know, how that scheme could be extended across the
country. Yeah, I don't know why Dorset do it. I mean, the only ones I know that do it, I think there is one up north, near Stockton-on-Tees, up north. They do it as well. But that's all. It's probably money. It's probably a money situation. That's usually a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Money.
Well, perhaps by doing these interviews and things that we can raise some awareness, even if it's just a little bit more, you know, because
I know.
Actually, word spreads, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's true. Yeah, it does. Right. So what's next?
So next is the broader context. How would you describe the current landscape of parental alienation support in the UK? I think you touched on that earlier, that you're the only
charity there is to help mums. And now there's just this one for dads called Both Parents Matter, which is weird because if it's Both Parents Matter, they should be representing mums as well as dads. But when we've tried to join up with them, and I was quite happy to look into perhaps joining and making a bigger organisation, they said, oh no, we don't want you on board, wouldn't work with you. They were so against us. Oh, we'll carry on looking after our mums and you look after the dads. But your group name doesn't mean that, does it? Both Parents Matter.
That's questionable, isn't it?
It is difficult. And they're very...
That you're doing.
Thank you. They're so corrupt. So they've come from families need fathers. Before that, what was it called before that? I don't remember what the name of it was. But they were corrupt because they got involved with, I can't think of the MP. I can't remember. The one who had the two jags. Oh, he's just died recently. Who had the two, called
two jags. Oh, with the eyebrows. I don't remember his name, but
I can't remember his name. Sad. We knew it was two jags. Well, he got involved because he was separated from his children. And he said, oh, I'll help you. So he got from the House of Parliament, from them, he got £100,000. He gave it to them and said, that'll keep you going. Won't you help make yourself stronger? Then he just left them and walked away. So they spent the money. They just spent it. They treated them as each of them. There was about 20 of them in the workforce. They took, 20 took £5,000 each and went out at a party. They spent it in one night. They kept that very quiet. They did keep that very quiet. So that's how that organisation folded. And then Families Need Fathers came about. And they are good.
So is that former one, is that public news?
It was at the time. It was just I had finished my court case. It was probably like 2004, 12, 5, around then. It was when the men dressed up as these Batman and Robin and I climbed on it was when all that was happening.
Wow.
That was when it was happening. it happened. So
That's
yes,
okay.
it got very bad.
As long as it's out in the open, because
It's all out in the open. Yeah, you can mention it on you'll definitely mention it. That's all everyone knows about that one.
not that I'm not shy of
No, that's right. You don't want to quote something that they go, oh, they're bringing up the past, because it's something important. But
Mm.
as I said, now we've got Families Need Fathers. It's changed to Both Parents Matter. It's a good organisation. And there are some women involved as well. I know they're good women, so hopefully it'll be all right.
So hopefully it will eventually live up to its name then.
Let's hope so. That's right. So
It's a shame that they can't collaborate though. You're
yeah,
all
we could have been fantastic, couldn't we? We've
Yeah.
been a huge organisation. Well, I say we've got 300 members always turning over. They've got 1,600 members always turning over.
Wow.
That's how many more. And actually, there are more men are separated than women. Although the women think there's more of them, it's actually the men are separated more. I hate to say it, but that's a fact.
It is. I know that's a fact as well. But it doesn't make it right on either side.
No, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't. No.
So, what are some of the emerging trends or challenges in this field?
Right. There are some amazing things going on. So you need to look up a man called Ben Hines, and Hines is spelled Ben Hines. Now he's a lecturer at West London University. He's a psychology lecturer there, and he was alienated himself as a child. He's now grown up, and he's been through one divorce where he was alienated from his children. He's now got a lovely wife, and everything's happy. So all happy and all sorted now. But he's a lovely guy. He's written 2 books. I've got one of them. I should have got it out. It's in my bookcase. So, he's written 2 books about alienation, parental alienation. He is fighting like mad to get the law basically changed, and for parental alienation to be a criminal. What's the word? Criminal. Yes, he is brilliant, and he wants. I've actually put. It's actually his name's. Have you got our? Do you get our newsletters? No,
I don't, but now
Right,
that
it's
you've got
okay.
my email address.
Right, now I've got your email address. I will send you the Constitution. I'll send you our latest letter. At the back of the letter, there are details all about him, because he's quite happy to represent you in court. He's not a lawyer, but he knows all the parental alienation. He knows everything about it. It would just be a fantastic person to have. He would be able to persuade any judge to say, yes, you have your children, darling, that sort of thing. He's fantastic. He's a lovely guy as well. So all the details are in the letter, so I'll send one out to you. So there's him. Also,
that would be at a cost though. So
but it'd be a nice cost. I mean, he's quite wealthy, but he's very high up in university life, so I should imagine he's gets paid quite a lot of money. But it would charge you, obviously, perhaps for the time you're giving it costs of him. So the other one is Martin Cracknell. Now, does the name ring a bell to you?
Yeah.
Martin Cracknell, right? His brother Ben Cracknell was the rower in the Olympics that won all the gold medal with the guy. Oh gosh, it's Ben and Martin. Right, so his brother Martin works on the TV. He's a sports presenter, basically, in TV. So he's quite a big guy. Well, he was separated. His wife took his 2 children away. And he hasn't seen his 2 children. Now they are in their 20s. He still hasn't seen them. They hate him so much because of what the mothers told them. They won't see him. And he's fighting like mad to see them. So he set up an organisation, which is called, and I didn't write it down before I came here. Oh, that's my fault. Again, I'll have to add it to your notes. I'll put that in as well when I send you the right. It's C of C, but I can't think what the C. Change for, not of. Change for C. Change for children. That's right. Change for children. He set up this organisation, and that is again, it's purely to fight parental alienation, because he's lost his contact, and he's got some really fantastic people on board because he's so up there in the world. So. That's another person. There are some amazing things trying to go on with this, and I think it will. I just don't know how soon it's going to happen. But they are trying to make a difference, and they're working really hard.
And are
Change it so parental alienation is recognised.
Do they endorse
Yes.
you as well and support you?
Yes, they do.
Amazing.
They're really like, I've met them all face to face, and they're great. They're really nice people.
That is so positive.
So that's really nice. And they know lots about Match Mothers, and they ask us always to be there whenever they do any meetings in court. I've been to the House of Commons twice to meet members of Parliament with them. So it's brilliant. It's really good. There are things going on. It's just how long it will take to be recognised. You're right. I find that lots of people, like the general public, they know someone who is alienated. If they're not alienated themselves, which a lot of them aren't, they'll know. Say, oh, there's a boy at school who's alienated from his dad because the mother doesn't like him. And they just come out with it and don't think anything of it. Well, you want to say, don't you think that's wrong?
Start asking questions and
asking why. Why do you think this is happening? Do you think we are trying to fight to stop this happening?
So that's as an additional question then, what conversations could we be having?
So enlighten people.
And where should we look for the conversations? Like you just said, pointing out, is that wrong?
Exactly. You know? My neighbour across the road, I'm in a cul-de-sac, so we're quite close, our houses around here. And She said to me, she said, you work, because I work from home, so she knows I do this stuff. And she said, your charity does things for alienation, don't you? I said, that's usually the case why mums are separated. And she said, my friend's just been separated from her son because the father's taken him away. I said, and is she okay? She said, you don't know. I said, I think you should give her our details. Well, she joined us, this mother. She's now dropped us. She's come off being, she was with us for about 3 years. But now she's gone off. She's found herself a new man and she started a new life and left her husband and her son behind. Coping mechanism. That's fine. She wants to. We helped her through those 3 years that she was with us. So
I suppose for some people it can just get too exhausting.
you have to be very strong to cope with it, don't you, really?
And to see it all the way through. We've got another 10-minute warning.
Oh, should we try and whiz through it?
So
What's some things written down? Right.
what changes would you like to see in policy or legislation to better protect children and families affected?
I'd like a special thing to be noted in schools, because it's when their children are at school, usually when this all happens, when parents split up and they divorce, and their schools should be wiser to what goes on, because lots, and also know the rights. There's a law in this world, in England, that both parents should have equal information from the school about their child. But if one of the parents goes along to the school and says, I don't want my wife to have any more information about, because the courts have told me that she can't have it, then the school just obliges and doesn't send the mother any more information. That is against the law. The law is, all you have to do, we have got a template letter that we ask them to send to the schools, which basically says, the law says that they should have equal, whether no matter what's happening in their life at home, the mother and the father should have equal information. So schools should be a bit wiser about it and be helping them. The other example, I know a teacher a school is local to me, and it was break time, and all the children had gone outside to play. It was a junior school, and she was walking around the school. And there was this little girl standing by this picture that she had drawn, that the teacher had put on the wall in the hallway because it was such a good picture. And this little girl was standing by this picture. She had a picture, a photograph of her dad. And she was holding the photograph of her dad up against the picture and said, Dad, that's my picture. You can't see it, but I think you'll be able to see through the photo, won't you? And she wanted her dad to see the picture, and her dad couldn't get to see it. The teacher broke down in tears. She went to see the headmaster and said that this had happened. And he said, oh, well, Dad will get to see it one day. No, it's not
So
good.
there needs to be.
So that's where I realised there's a problem there.
So how would you go about addressing that?
And then we have to go to the Department of Education. We should go to the tops. I think we could do it. Go to the Department of Education and tell them how they should bring that in as a training session that should be given to all schools all through the UK for all level of children, all ages. So there is perhaps one person in the school who is the clever person, knows that they'll deal with something like that. So if a teacher recognises that this child's having problems seeing or upset if they mention their father's name or whatever, they think there's a problem, they refer them to that one person in the school who sorts them out and helps them. That could be a good situation. That's what I think.
Because it is child abuse.
Yes, it is, very much so.
It is child abuse, so that you would think that that would be something that is flagged up.
Exactly.
I know that when I knew that there was parenting that I was being painted in one way, but there was a certain, I don't want to say too much, but I went to social services and they wouldn't do anything. They said, no, it's a matter for the courts. So I would have to then pay and take that to court, which I didn't do because I didn't want to upset the boat for my daughter when she was in a stable environment, even though it might not have been brilliant or perfect, whatever, but she had little siblings as well, very young siblings, and
that's even worse.
And that would be like, I couldn't do that to people. I couldn't, because I know how stressful it would be for the whole family.
When you go to court and there's one of the parents is accusing the other parent of alienating the children to see them, the courts seem to favour straight away, if they think that's happening, they say, right, children, you've got to go and live with your other partner now. You've been with your mother all this time. She's stopping you see your dad, so we're going to make your children go and stay with dad. And they don't see their mother. That is not resolving anything, because the whole thing is that alienation is going on. If you say to the children, go now live with your dad and don't see your mum, is their alienation still going on? Because now the mother can't see the children. So why don't the courts say, right, then we've both got to see them? It's that simple. So I don't know, perhaps this is an example. When I do the courses I do the Zoom meetings with Martin Cracknell, there's always this guy, Philip, his name is, I can't remember what his surname is now, but Philip, and he's a judge in Israel. And in Israel, alienation is a huge problem as well. I can't believe it with what's going on in Israel, but that is a big problem. So he's always in court now. He is a really tough guy. So the mother is stopping the father see the children. So they go to court and he wants to see his children. Stands in front of him. He's the judge, family court judge. He's the only one there is. So they go and see him. He just simply says, right, mother, you have got to let your children see the dad. If the dad tells me that he is not seeing the children, you are going to prison. It's that simple. And
Wow.
then the children see both the dads. They see their dad. Because
Assuming
and
it's
he
safe
says,
to do so.
of course, oh, yes, obviously that's been checked out. He gets social services are very good over in Israel, apparently. Can't believe that with what's going on out there, but apparently they're brilliant and they check him out first. If it's okay, then he has to see the children. The mother cannot stop. If she does stop them even once, one of the occasions, then he has to come back to court and he said, you come and tell me and I will send her to jail.
Wow.
And it works. Now, I don't think we can do that in this country. I don't think we haven't got space in the jails, have we? We're always being told there's too many people in the jails. But the thing is, he's making sure that both parents are seeing the children. That is alienating the children to go with the other parent. Doesn't help. It doesn't.
No.
What are you doing? You're trying to. Oh, I don't know what the courts. I don't agree with that. I don't like that when they do that.
It does seem very outdated.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, it's true.
Needs reform, definitely. How can individuals and communities become more involved in supporting those that are going through parental alienation? We've touched on this with the schools.
Yeah.
It's about having the conversation, isn't it, I suppose?
That's true. And not thinking it's such a weird. I tell you, I went to a play on Monday. Yeah, Monday I went this week. Or we now Wednesday, aren't we? On Monday this week, I went to see a play. And I was chatting to some ladies afterwards, just general chatting about the play, really. And someone asked me what I did, and I said I work for a charity. And this lady said, "What does that do then?" She was a really horrible lady. One of those ones you think, "Oh, go away." She really looked down on me. She said, "What do you do then? What does that charity do?" And I said, so I tried to explain to her, and she completely ignored me. She didn't. Only she heard a word I said. She was completely. I thought, why did you bloody ask me if you're not going to take any notice of what I say? But she's the sort of person that, like, well, she's one of these people, and there's a lot of these people around that just think that I won't get involved in that. I don't want to know about that. And so they don't. And she's probably
ignorance is bliss, as they say.
Yes, that's what they say, and it's true sometimes. Yeah.
But not for the people that are going through it without any support.
Exactly.
So leading on from that then, really well, is what are some of the misconceptions and misunderstandings about parental alienation that you frequently encounter?
That there's a few women, and they're all journalists in London. I'd recognise if you said their names, but I can't think of the names offhand. And they think that parental alienation is made up. It doesn't actually happen. And they think it's made up because they think the fathers got as much right as the mothers. So they're all for the courts taking the children away from the mother and giving them to the father. Even though the father could be a criminal, could be a paedophile, anything like that. They are into that, and they like to make a big splash. And the journalists are trying to make these fantastic stories. The journalists are trying to make themselves known, so they're doing that, and that's wrong. It's just, like I say, both parents should see the children, and there's been some really sad cases where the fathers have been given the children, and the fathers have killed the children.
Wow.
They've literally killed the children. And it's only a handful of cases, but in London, that's a handful of cases where the courts have said the father should have the children, and the mother said, the courts say, you better go and see your daddy. They've gone to see their daddy, and dads have killed them. 3 boys were killed one day by this father. He couldn't cope with them. So he said he didn't want to hurt the mother to have the pleasure of having them. So he thought, I must kill them, and they won't be there for either of us. So he just killed them.
And was there no warning signs that he was not a good person? Like,
I'd have thought so. I think he'd been in prison. He had been in prison for killing somebody, and he was back out, and he wanted to have his. He was trying to hurt the mother, so he fought hard to get the children to stay with him. Mother kindly said, "Go and see your daddy." And she never saw them again. He killed all 3 of them.
That's awful.
Now there are some horror stories out there, but I don't know.
I suppose the journalist, because the topic of fathers being alienated by the mothers was such a big thing.
Yeah.
That's why they jumped on.
It was, wasn't it? Jumped on the bandwagon and thought, oh, we'll get a story out here. But when we try to get journalists involved to us, if there's something fantastic happened, we always do the good news side of it. We can't get a journalist to listen to us. It's not easy to find them.
I don't think they don't like publishing good news, do they?
No, people don't read papers with. I think people do read them with good news in, but they just don't ever show it, do they?
No, it's always doom and gloom, isn't it?
We did have. We were in the Times. We did get. There was myself and the lady who was running the charity at the time was Hillary, and another lady, can't remember. Oh, Francis. 3 of us had our stories written in Times magazine, on a Sunday magazine.
Amazing.
That was in 2010. That was.
Wow.
I haven't got a copy of it anymore. I don't know what happened to my copy, but it seems to have disappeared somewhere. I think I've got it online somewhere.
Well, if anyone from the Times magazine is watching this, it's time to get them back in it.
Please come back, because we wrote,
Yeah.
and you obviously liked the story because you had a photographer come around to my home and take photos of me, and he went to all the three of us homes and took photos. It was a good article.
That's what you need more of that.
Definitely need more of that, definitely. That's true.
Is there any other misconceptions apart from the journalist thinking that parental alienation doesn't exist? I suppose one of the common ones would be that, oh, the mum must have done something really bad
Yes,
if she hasn't got her children.
that's right. Because she had her children once, they see them with the mum once, and then suddenly the children aren't there. It's very hard for the mum to back up the reason why they're not there.
She shouldn't have to. She should just have to, they've been taken from me and it's wrong.
Yeah, that's right. And I'd like your support, please.
Yeah.
Of these mums that is friends. Myself, when it happened to me, and we had friends, obviously joint friends, me and my husband, and they all went with him. They all went on his side. When he got the children and I didn't, they just ignored me. They didn't want anything to know about me. They just cut me out. Then when I got the children back, I then went to them and told them, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. But I've just been through 10 years and you didn't take any notice of me."
Probably because you've got the money, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
People are shallow.
Yes, they
Well,
are.
not all
Yeah.
people. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, not all. No, you're right. Not all of them, but a lot of them are.
There are good people in the world. Lots of good people.
Yes, there are. That's very true. There are.
Come out and help.
Yeah, that's right. There's lots of things going on in the world, unfortunately. We're tiny, aren't we, really, our fight? It's big to us.
It's big, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
And to those little children as well. That it's not the mums are suffering, but the children are suffering.
Yeah,
ultimately.
exactly. That's right. Yeah.
And then they grow up with all kinds of trauma and
oh gosh, they can't have relationships, can they?
no, which is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does a charity measure the impact of its work and evaluate its effectiveness? I think you've said that one as well, really, was because you said
We haven't got anything written down as such, have we? But I know last year somebody asked us what that was for now, how many mums we've helped in the time, it's a long time. Well, since we've been actually doing, obviously technology has been able to actually keep monitoring what's going on. So I'd say since we became a charity, 2006, we've helped over 7,000 mums through this. That was just a rough figure. Somebody looked at the number, how many people have actually registered with us, and it was that many.
Like you said, you've got a rolling figure of 300.
300 mums at any one time.
And there's 3 that haven't been reunited. So
only 3 that I know of that haven't been,
statistics.
Are still separated.
Hopefully
and
they will.
One of them is a lady who is really high, very high up in the police force. She goes all around the world and does lectures on the police. Like when a country wants to know how, because apparently we've got the best police force in the world, apparently. That's what they say. So there other countries ask for our help to tell them, well, what do we do with this? And she goes all around the world, does lectures. That's what her job is. She's alienated from her daughter, and she hasn't seen her daughter since she was 6 years old. She's now late 20s. She doesn't know where she lives, what she does, and she's this fantastic person who does these amazing lectures for the police force all around the world. Her dad's painted. How does that happen? What can her dad have said to her to make her not want to know her mum? And her mum is so fantastic. Yeah.
She probably
doesn't know what her mum is. She doesn't even know who her mum is.
It blows my mind. It really does. And it's the legal justice system, the family courts. It doesn't make sense a lot of the time.
No. Why can't we be this lovely English country that has lovely families, sort of policies and priorities?
Although policies are there.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Yeah.
The people, the implementation of them is lacking, for sure.
That's where the problem is, yeah.
But the policies are there.
That's true.
This just makes me wonder what else is going on a lot of the time, and that's a conversation for another day.
Yes, that could be a whole new ball game. That is
maybe an off-camera one first.
That's right. Do rehearsal first. That one.
So what are your hopes and aspirations for the future of the charity and its work?
I'd like us to not be needed. That would be heaven, wouldn't it? If we weren't needed, if all the mums in the world in the UK were happy. And see, in Denmark, bless Denmark, right, let's go back to the family courts, right? So we go back to, where are we now? I'd say in December, the family courts decided to not make any time for parental alienation being raised by someone in court. It was not allowed to be raised in court. And this is true still. You can't bring up the words parental alienation anymore. That's something else we're telling our mums all the time now. We're telling our mums, when you go to court, don't say, I've been alienated by the dad because he's using parental alienation. As soon as you say that, the hackles come back up on the judge's neck and they just say, I don't want to know about that, and then move on to something else. That is what happened. That's what's happening now in courts. So that's happened. That was came out in December. At the same time, in Denmark, they decided to make it a strong reason why a child was not seeing their parent. That was a real problem and to be sorted. It was their top priority in sorting out a family's situation. If that was the reason, if you brought that up, then they took it on and they made sure. And Denmark was trying to sort it out so that children see both parents. And then England does the opposite and says, we don't want to know. You can stop saying that word. We're not using it. So we're forever telling mums to say, describe the situation, but avoid saying the word alienation, because they don't like that in courts, and judges' heckles go up and they won't like you. I think perhaps judges find it too hard to find a solution with a family, if that's the reason. Perhaps
Probably because there's no law in place.
Exactly.
Could be.
That's something that, well, but really, it's like parents to not even have to go to court, even just have a mediation, perhaps, and work things out for the children
And stop
the
using
priority
it
of them
again as a weapon.
if they're doing, and they're getting away with it, and it's not fair on the child.
No, and I think that should be well, it is parental or alongside the parental alienation aspect, the crime against the parent, the crime against the child. It's a double thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a crime. It should be a law. You have to let the child see both parents.
So
obviously, if they're a horrible person, then like this man who killed the 3 boys, there were 3 little boys. They were lovely kids as well. The photo of them is gorgeous, playing with their mum. And then I just don't know how she survives. If that happened to me, if I'd had my 3 children killed, how would you be able to?
Doesn't bear thinking about, even just losing a child in a natural circumstance.
It's horrific. Yeah.
And even the thought of it as a mother, the worst thing that could happen. Well, one of the worst.
It is, isn't it?
Even in a natural circumstance, it is losing a child is unbearable, but then to happen in such a horrific way.
Yeah. Do you remember how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, sorry.
46.
Do you remember the Jamie Bolger? You do.
Haunted so long.
No, still, it was his 43 years. It was this last week, 43 years it happened to go. 43? No, am I wrong on that?
No, I'm sure I was older.
No, it's not. 30 something years, I can't remember. Anyway, it was the anniversary and it was on the news. And how did that mother survive? I couldn't have. She changed her name. She's got a new life now, totally new life. But how did she do that? How did she survive that?
I don't know, because I remember
that was just horrific, wasn't it?
And it's coming back to me now, and it's because I was young at the time, and even being young and hearing it just made me. I
think I was about 18. I was at college,
and I think the thing that was so bad about it was that it was done by other children.
And they've now got their lives in Australia, and in Australia they've got different names now. They were allowed to change their names.
It should be like life, really, shouldn't it? Life means life.
Exactly. For that case, it should have been. That would have helped the mother, I think, to cope with it, knowing that were suffering. It's a horrible thing to say, but they deserve to suffer for doing what they did.
I suppose. Well, I don't know how she would have got through it. I like to think because I'm a Christian, I like to think that I could find forgiveness somewhere. But even just trying to say that and it hasn't happened, that would really be a test.
That would really piss you. But she's obviously, I know she had a lot of help. She had an amazing lot of help to get through it. And then somehow they've got her to do that, to understand. And
wow.
But it just shows the bond between a mother and a child. We should not be even putting mothers through this.
No.
Should have more respect for mums.
It would be ideal if your charity wasn't needed, like you said.
It would be. We've got some amazing mums coming on board at the moment that are really feisty and really want to help and take on it's really nice to be handing things over to people now. So I can't do this forever. It's nice to be able to hand things over to mums to take it over, which is good.
Maybe to grow if the need is there.
That's true, but we should be getting better, not getting worse.
That's very true, yeah. Because maybe some campaigns can start. How would you go about that? Did I ask that question about getting the laws changed?
We do. This is where there's little groups. So I joined a group. There were 6 mums, and I was one of the 6 mums where we were alienated from our children. And one of these mums worked in the House of Lords. And she was alienated from her child, and yet she was in the House of Lords. She's quite an established lady, and she got in touch with we got these 6 mums together, and we wrote letters to every single member of the House of Lords. There are 400 members in the House of Lords, so we wrote 400 letters one weekend. Wow. 6 of us wrote to every single one of them.
Well, handwritten. Okay?
No, emailed. But we had emails then.
Still a lot. It's still a massive.
We personally wrote one, so each one was personally written. So that's what you imagine 6 of us on the laptop. It took us all weekend. We did all day Saturday and all day Sunday doing these. We were so happy when we did the final one. We're like, yes, we've written the final one.
Amazing.
and we asked them to support us and the parental alienation in the domestic abuse bill, which was going through the Houses of Parliament the following week. So we had to get them out at that exact time. We had to get them out. So we did that. 40 of the MPs of the 400, so a tenth of them, actually agreed to support us. So we went, so Lady Myers, Lady Christine Myers is the lady in the House of Lords. She is alienated herself from her 2 boys, and her husband's taken them to Germany to live. And so she was behind it. She was a lady in the House of Lords. So we were backing her up, and she was trying to put this parental alienation into the domestic abuse bill as a form of abuse. We went through the court. This was in 2020. So just as the pandemic was starting, it was the same time that was minor. Didn't worry about that then. We didn't know what it was going to involve at that point. So we went along with it. And domestic abuse bill didn't allow it in. With all that work we'd done, and there's 40 people that we got on board. Domestic abuse bill said, no, we don't want parental alienation in there. They put coercive control in the domestic abuse bill, but they wouldn't put parental alienation in. They said, well, we've got coercive control, you can put it under that. No, you can't.
I think you mentioned
We're trying.
to me when I first contacted you guys. That word was mentioned. So
Coercive control.
So is it because maybe the name is there another name that it could another way of naming
it?
If
we could give it another name, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I can't think. Parental upset. No, it's not parental upset, it's a child's upset, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's child abuse.
It is.
Child abuse. Yeah.
It is.
That should be what so actually we should be stronger and do that. Like when I go to these CAFCAS meetings, say, and they bring up parental alienation, say, you mean child abuse? I should be stronger and say that.
And get the mums to
use it in courts and say there's child abuse going on because the child isn't allowed to see me.
And if I'm sure them, you must have mums that are that are psychologists and psychiatrists. Like yourself, you studied it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. I've got a degree for it.
So you can back that up that it is child abuse.
Oh, you can. Oh, definitely. There's enough grounds to show it as child abuse. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's another angle then.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
perhaps your YouTube video will show that could be something that someone could come along with and think, I could do something with that. I think that's what Ben Hines is going along with. You see, because he's a psychologist lecturer. I think he's using that side to try and get it more in the public eye.
Brilliant.
All right.
One more question.
Yeah.
Oh no. What message would you like to share with those who are seeking help for support for parental alienation?
Right. I think the big thing is it will end. Don't think it's going to be forever in your life. It will end. Generally, I know there's those 3 months that it hasn't ended, but that's not mine. That shows how small it is. It will end, and keep yourself strong and look after yourself, because these children want this lovely mum to be there at the end of the day when they come back. So you've got to look after yourself.
Get equipped as well, self-equipped with lots of tools for dealing with it as well when they come back. Yes,
of course. Yeah, that's right.
I had that conversation with my friend. I was like, I said to her very seriously, I was like, you do know that because of the time they've been away, when they come back, it's going to be difficult. And
there'll be a change.
Yeah, she said, I know. She said, and I'll just have to work through that and be on their level with it, which I thought was very admirable.
But really, she's a mum. She hasn't changed. She's still the same mum. She doesn't have to change herself, does she?
No. But there should be the support for that as well, for the reintegration. Definitely.
Yes, that's very true.
Even with the parental alienation, not just the forced adoption, but with the parental alienation, there should be.
Hoping with that, yeah.
And how can people get involved with or support the charity? Finally,
right. Well, we have on our website, there is a donation button, donation link, so you can give us money if you can to help us. As I say, we've got to pay for the phone line, which is about £100 every month. We've got to pay for because it's free. So everybody else, and then we have things we're going on all the time. We're visiting the courts, and we have to go to this CAFCAS meeting is in London. Have to go to London. So we've got to pay for the transport. If you can help pay for us to do this, backing up to support these mums, but we have to pay to do the thing. Everything costs money, as everyone knows that now. So that would be helpful. But obviously, come on board, and you can get these newsletters and find out what we're up to. By all means, we want everyone to know what we're doing. Definitely.
So perhaps they can and also send people in your direction if they know people that are going through parental alienation.
Of course. Yeah, send them to us.
Yeah.
And the phone line, all the mums doing the call handling on the phone lines are all mums who have been separated. Some have been and resolved it. Some there are, it's like half and half, really. So people that will understand are on the phone lines. So please do call us up, definitely.
Brilliant. And if you are in a position, I don't think you'd be watching my YouTube channel at this stage, but if you're in a position where you can do something to help with getting changed,
yes,
then please get in touch with Match Mothers, and
yes, please do.
I'll put all the links and everything in the description.
Thank you very much
for your time, Ros.
That's okay, no worries.
you.
Yes, of course, yeah, I'm Ros. So anytime, and
Thank you.
you for giving up a little time as well. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you for getting through the video. I recorded an intro a few days ago, but now I've lost my voice, so you're listening to an AI cloned version instead. If you know anyone who has or is experiencing parental alienation or forced adoption, please share this video with them and let them know that they are not alone. If you are one of those parents and would like a chance to share your story, please click the link for Rafapa contact form. Raising awareness of forced adoption and parent alienation. Remember to like and subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss out.